So, I decided to record today because this weekend I'm supposed to babysit my nephews, um, because it's my brother and his wife's anniversary and stuff. So, I might not be available on the 18th for the normal time and stuff, and even a day or two before that. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and record it now. On the 18th, I should be a year and a half on testosterone officially. I haven't had any changes that I'm aware of in the last month, physically or anything. My beard didn't keep getting further down my neck or whatever. Um, I haven't had any physical changes that I'm aware of other than my labs came back, and in my labs, I had much better uh, blood results than normal. Um, I have an anemia that is pretty rare. I don't remember the name of it. It's like micro hypo something, starts maybe with an S, and then something after that. Um, I can never remember the name of it. It's really rare. It basically essentially means that I have really uh, tiny red blood cells, like 3 times smaller than normal people's, um, when my iron's not too bad, and I have them, they're really pale, like, uh, instead of being like a red color, they're really more like a soft pink or orange color, like they're really pale looking. And on top of all of that, I have millions more of them than most people have of red blood cells, to sort of make up the difference or whatever. So normally, if you have a really high red blood cell count, they think you have like cancer. So it's a little difficult on that regard, but it works out for being a functional human being part. I do have to take a lot of iron because I think I think it's called iron overload or something like that. I don't get iron correctly. Anyway, the point is I have this weird anemia, and for whatever reason, my doctor was very surprised because this was not one of the expected results of me taking testosterone. But as my bone density has been getting better, my anemia has been less severe. Um, Probably because, red blood cells are made in your red bone marrow in your bones. Um, it probably is affecting it for some reason, somehow, but in a positive way, so that's good. Um, they're slightly less tiny and slightly less discolored or whatever, and they're slightly like there's more platelets than I've ever had ever, and there's like the red blood cells usually are so quote unquote gimpy, like I don't really know what to call them, so underdeveloped that I have like an extra like 3 mil, and it's down to like 1.5 mil. Um, Extras needed because that's how much the lack in their like ability has gone. So they're like, again, being less effective as a red blood cell has improved so much that my body doesn't think I need an extra over 3 million of them. Um, that's really exciting. The other thing that has changed that, though, is when you look at it, if my testing was done as a female, I would have an extra 2 mil. Um, The reason being is apparently it's a little different for anemia with women than anemia with men. And my doctor, officially, starting with these labs, does not even test me on a female spectrum anymore. Um, I was never female fully in the first place. I was born intersex, which means I have characteristics of both sexes. But honestly, they were deformed in both directions. Um, all of my male stuff that I currently, have representation of, and female stuff that there's representation of, they're essentially quote unquote not very functional. They're all very deformed. So I was never actually fully female in the first place. Um, we don't know about whatever got cut off. There's evidence of genital mutilation, but there's no telling what was there before the mutilation, so they don't know. But basically, it was the standard practice when I was small to do that to kids who were born intersex. So, um, no one technically did anything criminal, even though it should be criminal to do that, and now is quite frowned upon in our country. But sadly, that was not the case when I was little. Um, the point is, um, having this horrible hormone deficiency my whole life has really, really screwed up a lot of things for me. And apparently, this really rare anemia that I have, the more my bones are growing, the better. And the thing is my bones still have another, like, at least 6 years on them, supposedly, um, to get up to the density that they're supposed to, and everything from having proper levels of testosterone in my system. And I'm like, what is my anemia going to be like when my bones are like where they're supposed to be, Like, it's very exciting. And it's very exciting that I am just being tested as a male now, um, just flat out. That all of my internal systems warrant me being tested as male, and should have never been tested as female on any labs ever anyway. It's really exciting to officially have that on some sort of paper. Um, it's frustrating. When I saw that, I wanted to tell my father, but I know he's just gonna get mad and irate and everything. I don't know how to explain to him in a way that he would accept it because he doesn't believe I was born deformed. Um, and so then he thinks that it's a giant agenda and that everyone's just trying to trick me and that I'm falling for a lie and that everyone is trying to um, essentially turn me trans when in reality you can't turn someone trans. They're either trans or they're not. But it's like he has this really distrusting view of doctors because he thinks that they're bought by big pharmacy companies. And I'm like, even if some doctors are, not all doctors are. And I've had tons of second opinions. It's been verified multiple times, and he still is. He puts so much weight into the word of one doctor who was there when I was born, when we didn't even have medical advancement or technology like there is now, let alone that they had an ultrasound machine. Like they didn't have anything where I was born. And he puts so much weight on that, and he doesn't put any weight on any doctors now, even though there's verifiable evidence and stuff. And I don't know how to explain in a way that he would hear. And the other reason I wish I could call my father is the reason I'm recording today and not tomorrow is this morning at like 8:04 or something like that in the morning. I finally got my phone call for scheduling my top surgery, and it is for next month. I am technically less than a month away from my top surgery, and I I got the phone call and I was just sort of in shock because I wasn't expecting it until at the earliest, the very end of July, like the 29th or something. Um, so they got an opening earlier than that and they gave it to me, and I didn't even know for sure. I thought it was most likely going to be in August because of the way that they were struggling to schedule it. And I they've been trying to get it scheduled for a little while now, but being new, the plastic surgery wing has been, you know, open to service and everything like this for trans services for less than 6 months. So they're still figuring out their, scheduling systems and stuff. And, you know, on the plus side, it means not having to wait a year for a surgery, but on the minus side, it means a little more like up and down before getting the surgery. But it was completely worth it because um, I am so sorry to say that my surgeon, they are only allowing him to accept new patients now 2 days a month. Apparently he was just accepting everyone, no matter what their insurance was, no matter what, because he just wanted to help people. But yeah, it's like the 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 place it's through is like, yeah, we gotta earn money, so we need you to, slow down on accepting people because we have a giant group of people now that need to be scheduled, but also we need to help you choose the people a little bit because yes, you can help people who can't afford things, but we can only do those so many at a time while also having people who have more affordability. Um, so thankfully, I'm not a new patient because that started in June, and I saw him in May. Um, what's really shocking to me is my consult was in May and my surgery is in July, and it's basically a 2 month difference, and it's just like, wow, that's amazing. Um, I am gonna be, dealing with a lot. I'm trying to change up stuff that's scheduled and everything. I had to change an in-person doctor appointment for me to a virtual one. Um, I'm gonna have to change an appointment for my spouse. I was just driving our girlfriend to appointments every week. She had treatment every single week for a specific thing, and now she's gonna have to get public transport to that. So she's trying to change where it is to downtown instead of up in Bellevue. Um, because she can't drive herself. Um, I have to figure out transportation to and from my surgery because she's still learning to drive and she's never driven on the freeway yet. She's going to start learning how to do that, but she's scared she won't feel safe and comfortable because I'm going to be drugged up. I'm not going to be able to give her instruction while she's driving. So she has like a month to get that changed to where she is confident as a driver, and I don't know if that's possible. Gonna ask and see if my brother can do it. If he can't, we're gonna have to like get an Uber or something because I can't drive. I'll have had surgery. um, it's awesome though because by the end of summer I will be done with recovery. Um, That's awesome. They still haven't scheduled my bottom surgery consult, which is like, come on, let's do that. Um, I really want that to happen because a lot of times your first stage surgery is like a year from your first consult for your bottom surgery. So that, the sooner the consult is, the sooner next year I can have the stages begin. Um, the reason for that is you have to do like for some people it's 9 months, but for most people it's 6 months of hair removal, which is usually electrolysis, and then on top of that also you have to get your hysterectomy done, He's referring me to an LGBT plus specializing OBGYN who has worked with intersex people before. My doctor was going to refer me to an OBGYN who specialized in LGBT plus care, but she had done a lot of trans people, but had not worked with an intersex person before. So it's nice to know that if for some reason the one who has experience with intersex people doesn't work out, there is another option. But I'm just excited that it's gonna be done, get happen, all that kind of stuff. I just really, really want my consult scheduled so that I have some sort of a gauge of when possibly to expect my first surgery. Um, Depending on how complicated it is to get into, again, stuff like electrolysis and all of that. But my top surgery happening and being done is just such a massive hurdle and such a like wonderful thing to get taken care of. Like it's such a huge milestone in and of itself and like will improve my quality of life while I'm waiting for all the bottom surgery stuff. Um I mean, on the one hand, it's gonna be kind of sucky to have to lay on the bed, during the heat of summer. It's gonna be kind of sucky to miss out on like a month and a half of summer when usually all summer is like my playtime where I'm outdoors and hiking and swimming and you know doing all kinds of stuff. But thankfully it is after our normal family running around time where we do the big giant family group and um thankfully I will be recovered in time that it will still be warm out and it's not like I can't still do a little bit of something. um and honestly I'm so relieved that it's sooner rather than later. I was worried it wasn't going to be until like October or something, and then it starts messing with holidays that you spend with family. Being still recovering during like Thanksgiving or Halloween or all that kind of stuff is like not great. Like the majority of birthdays and stuff in my family are toward the end of the year, and it just so glad it's not going to be later in the year. Like I am so relieved and happy that it's coming. I hope everything can get prepared in time, but at the same time, whatever's not prepared is just gonna have to deal because I'm definitely doing my surgery. I'm not. I I had no interest in waiting until our girlfriend was more confident with driving and scheduling it later. Like I don't want that. I want my surgery. I don't want someone else's choices and decisions to keep me from being able to make the choice or decision that's best for me. So, um, I think I'm still a little in shock. It's starting to come. The feeling is starting to come. It takes me a little bit, um, but I'm I'm gonna have top surgery. Um, basically, basically a month from now, slightly less than a month from now. Um, and the girls promised that they would try to help as much as possible and keep things functional as much as possible so I'm not stressed out because by far the hardest part for me is going to be wanting to get up and fix things and take care of things and trust that they're fine and that everything's fine and that the house is fine and that you know I do a lot of normal things around here that I'm worried will, fall by the wayside or whatever. But at the same time, I have to trust, and trusting is a hard thing for me, but I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to not get up every time someone's upset, not get up every time something needs done, or a chore is behind, or people need me to pick up after them. I'm gonna have to trust that my spouse's med box is done correctly, that stuff's gonna be okay. I I am so grateful that my surgery is sooner rather than later though, because I was so worried that it was going to be months later, which would push my consult back months later. And instead, you know, this means my consult could still possibly be in October. I wish they would freaking schedule it so that I can be certain. That would be extremely helpful, but unfortunately, this man, this scheduling system sucks. But they're trying to build it from scratch, so the people though are really great. The person in charge of building the scheduling, his direct personal assistant, and him. So far, everyone I've interacted with have been like really awesome, um, super nice people, and I'm really grateful for that. So, like, I'm not gonna need my binders anymore, and that's like I just had gotten used to wearing a binder every day, and to being basically able to pass completely or whatever. No one, I haven't had a single person misgender me since my name has changed and I've been wearing binders. Not a single person has misgendered me. Um, it's like, it's mind blowing. And then this means the next surgery after will be my hysterectomy. And I have wanted a hysterectomy for as long as I've known what was inside of me. I have always felt like it was like this parasitic organism. Like I've never wanted it, even before I ever found out I was intersex, even when I was like a teenager. Like I have never wanted any of those, the ovaries or a uterus. I do not have a correctly shaped vulva and all that kind of stuff. All of that is deformed, and I believe my uterus is too skinny, too thin, or whatever. And also T-shaped instead of like they're supposed to be rounded or whatever. Anyway, the point is it's deformed, but it's still in there, and I hate it. I want it out. The biggest worry about the hysterectomy is my sister said that she's pretty positive they'll also take, um, um, a gonad. And um, I was like, "Can I just leave it in there?" And she's like, "I don't think so. Not if it's deformed and not if it's near the ovary cavity." Um, so I was hoping that that would not be the case. We will see. I will, obviously talk to the OBGYN about it, but I'm not looking forward to that if that is the case. But at least I would be able to move forward with bottom surgery, so I've got to try to wrap my head around all of that still. But at least top surgery is really direct and straightforward. Like, I'm more direct and straightforward than a lot of people are because my chest isn't even quote unquote normal or whatever. So, I have deformities that come from being intersex, even in like I don't have mammaries. So, like, it's just literally just gonna be a straight across my chest. Take take it down to my chest. Just basically, if you think of it as like a cup, just literally take the entire cup off, and then make the skin come together and sew over and make the uh, basically the nipples be placed in a correct position. He said he's going to try to save as much of my chest hair as possible, so that's nice of him to say that because I didn't even ask. Every question I did ask, he had an exact answer for. Um, I guess some of my questions for top surgery were things like I have skin tags, and it unfortunately runs in my father's side, so I have a few skin tags. Is that going to be a problem? And he was like, no, skin tags, they don't affect anything. I have essentially a fear of like getting dog tags, and he's like, he's never had a single patient who's ever had a dog tag, and he's done hundreds of them. He tends to cut further back, and a lot of surgeons try to make the scar smaller, um, and not go anywhere toward under your arms, but in so doing, increase the chance of dog tags or dog ears. Sorry, dog ears. And he's like, yeah, I don't bother making the scar shorter because I don't want that to happen in the first place. Unless you have a very specific body type, and dog ears are probably not going to happen no matter what. I always cut further back to where it should be to avoid dog ears. So I was like, yay, do that. Because I told him I don't want dog ears. So if you have to cut all the way up under my armpits to make that happen, I'm totally okay with that. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. But don't worry. So, that's all good. He um, answered all of my questions about like recovery and if I had to stop taking testosterone, which I don't. Um, he had like all of the timeline and you know what's going to happen what days, and how to take care of stuff and everything. He answered all that. The only thing he didn't answer was my question about anesthesia, but he did say that he would let the anesthesiologist know that I had the question about that. So I do have a couple of questions for the anesthesiologist now that I have to ask about. Obviously, my blood is a little weird, and also I have red going on, and from what I've read and from what I've heard from some other people who have been under, um, having red hair can affect a little bit. So I just wanted to ask about it. The big things, all are taken care of already. There's only one more appointment of my spouse's that I've got to reschedule, or else figure out if our girlfriend can take her. And then I should be all cleared out from that. I still do have the appointment with my doctor, but it'll be virtual now, um, instead of in person in August. And um, my my spouse's mom was gonna come visit, and she's actually excited that she'll have to come visit later because she's thinking uh, airfare will be a little cheaper, not during summer vacation. I agree, that's probably sound reasoning. Um, so yay for that. But yeah, I I have dissociated away from my body and like not looked at myself and like avoided mirrors and stuff for almost my whole life, which is so funny because when I was growing up, part of the time my doors to my closet were giant mirrors, like the entire door. So it's so funny because I had mirrors every single day and I would not hardly look in them, period, like at all. I would not look in them unless I was drawing something specific. Like every once in a while, I'd get a school thing to like draw yourself or something. I did not want to look in the mirrors. And um, it's so funny because most teenagers do. Um, from studies and stuff, most teenagers look in the mirror at themselves and try to get to know themselves. And, you know, part of knowing themselves is apparently looking at themselves. And I've never done stuff like that. And like after surgery, yes, I'm gonna have, these scars that are trying to heal on my chest. But I've said it before in these videos, and I'll say it again. It is so absolutely dumbfounding to me that people don't understand this sometimes. But I'll say it again. I have felt like Frankenstein's monster for so long that having the scar, but being rid of part of, you know, my deformity is going to feel less like Frankenstein's monster. Um, it's a really big deal. And it's so much sooner than what I was afraid it was going to be, and even more sooner than what the earliest I thought it was possible for it to be. Um, I'm getting top surgery. I, d- I think the shock is starting to melt a little bit, and like part of me is still scared it's not gonna happen. Like I have a lot of trust issues with life. I don't expect life to be without its hurdles, but at the same time, I mean, it's scheduled. My pre-schedule schedule is already set up for both of the things that have to be done. I I don't have any reason to think it's not going to happen. But part of me is still scared it's not going to happen. Like I don't know, like the surgeon's going to get sick, or I don't know. So it's so hard for me to believe it's real. I I really have always struggled with accepting that a good thing is a good thing, and being able to like sit in happiness for more than a couple of seconds. It's very uncomfortable for me because it's so hard for me to trust that that happiness is real, and that is reality, is that it's gonna be okay. I mean, I always know I'm gonna get through, but that's not the same thing as it's gonna be okay. And I am trying really hard to accept that this that it's okay to be excited. It takes me a while to get to the point where I feel like it's okay to be excited about something good. And the more good it is, the harder it is for me to get to that. And then it is devastating when I finally get to excitement and it doesn't happen. So I really need this to not be that way. Um, it's funny. I was supposed to have counseling today, and normally on Wednesdays. And my counselor is on vacation, so this one particular week she's not here, and it would have actually been to on Wednesday, and can't process all the anxiety um, with my counselor today. I have to do it by myself. Be a big, strong boy. Yes, I can do it. um, but at least I recorded and tried to get some of my feelings down and some of what's happening down. And, a year and a half on testosterone, and I'm 1 month away from, you know, top surgery isn't too bad. A year and 7 months on top surgery, I will have been a year and 7 months on testosterone. Like, I will have had top surgery before that day, and that's exciting. Who knows, maybe things will work out and by then I'll know when my bottom surgery consult is. But no matter what, my next recording is gonna be pretty intense. I might record between then, um, because there's a lot and it's exciting. Um, I think like 2 days from now, I'm just gonna be like running around excited like a freaking kid. I'm gonna have all this energy. Um, it just takes me a little bit to get to that. But I will try to explain once I've had the top surgery and I'm feeling less drugged and stuff. I'll try to explain, what's up, and I'll have like this chest compressment going on, and I'll probably be on like leads for the drains and all that kind of stuff. I'll try to explain it as it's going. I'm gonna have double incision, um, which is what the majority of people have to have. Keyhole is only for people who are like an A cup, like it's pretty small in the first place. Like you have to be pretty small for a keyhole surgery. The other thing about keyhole surgery is some people with a smaller chest still want double incision because with keyhole surgery, your nipples end up pretty much in the middle, and that's not natural looking to an actual masculine chest. So if you care about that, you might not want a keyhole anyway. Um, some people just want it to be flatter. They don't care if it is fully masculinized, and that's okay. Totally acceptable. Um, it's just for people who do want it masculinized, usually want to go a double incision. I very much want my chest to reflect who I actually am, which is a guy. Um, I did not get to grow up, the same way that boys do and that guys do. And the only plus side I can hope about that is that I'm less misogynistic and um, try to hope for the best with that. Um, but going forward for the rest of my life should just be a straight little um, path forward once all this surgery is done, and that's exciting. And it doesn't mean I'll never have dysphoria again, but man, it was gonna freaking help. And maybe there will be a day a few years from now when I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, you know what? I can just do this. Like, what an achievement. I can look in the mirror and it's not like traumatic. um, I don't know how to explain that because I have survived like life and death situations. I have endured like what most people would consider to be quite torture, is torture. I have survived abuse. I have survived car crashes. I have done a lot of things, and here I am, this person who can endure so much stuff and can't look in a mirror hardly at all. I can look in a mirror for a few seconds now, for about like, I think I'm up to like 12, 15 seconds, something like that. I have not been trying to push that for a long time, so I believe I made it to 15 seconds once, but I've made it to 12 seconds several times. So, baby steps, but this is so much more than a baby step. This is a hurdle, and